There is a people in Africa who hunt elephants using only bows and arrows. No rifles, no traps, no vehicles. They face the largest land animal on the planet, armed with wood, feathers and poison. An adult elephant weighs more than 6 tons. It is taller than a 2-story house. It can crush a man with a single step, and the Hadzabe hunt them on foot, barefoot, in absolute silence. This is the reality of one of the most extreme hunts humanity has ever practiced, and when they succeed, they eat for weeks, the entire group, men, women, children, elders. Everyone eats, no one goes hungry. That is why this hunt exists. It is not sport, it is not trophy, it is pure survival. You are about to meet the Hadzabe. They live in Tanzania, in East Africa, in a region called Lake Eyasi, a landscape of dry savanna, twisted acacia trees and relentless heat. The thermometer easily surpasses 40 degrees. The air is dry. The dust sticks to your skin. There are no paved roads, no electricity, no hospitals, no schools, nothing of what you know as civilization. The Hadzabe live exactly as their ancestors lived 50,000 years ago. That is right, 50,000 years. While the rest of humanity invented agriculture, built cities, created empires, developed technology, the Hadzabe continued living the same way, hunting, gathering, surviving. And the most impressive thing is that they chose this. It is not ignorance, it is not backwardness, it is choice. Governments tried to settle them, missionaries tried to convert them, farmers tried to expel them. Nothing worked. The Hadzabe resist, they continue. They persist. They are fewer than 1,300 people in the entire world, one of the last tribes of genuine hunters and gatherers on the planet. They do not raise animals, they do not plant, they do not store food. Every day is a new search. Every meal needs to be conquered with their own hands. And when meat from smaller animals is not enough, when the group needs something that will last weeks, when hunger really presses, they set out for the supreme hunt, the elephant. But wait, there is something you need to understand before continuing. The Hadzabe do not wake up one day and decide to hunt an elephant. It does not work that way. This decision is made only in specific moments, when the dry season punishes too hard, when smaller animals disappear from the region, when women return from gathering with empty hands, when children begin to cry from hunger, then yes, then the most experienced men gather around the fire and begin to plan. Because hunting an elephant is not just dangerous, it is the riskiest thing a human being can do with their own hands. And that is exactly what you're about to witness now. The preparation begins weeks before the hunt itself. The most experienced hunters go out on reconnaissance expeditions. They observe the territory. They look for signs, tracks in the soft earth, fresh dung, knocked down trees, paths opened in the vegetation, tusk marks on tree bark. Elephants are creatures of habit. They follow specific routes to water sources. They rest in the same places during the midday heat. They feed in the same areas at dusk. They communicate through sounds that humans cannot even hear. The Hadzabe know these patterns by memory. This knowledge was passed from generation to generation over thousands of years. There is no school. There is no book. There is no explanatory video. There is only the accumulated wisdom of 50 millennia of direct observation. A Hadzabe hunter begins learning as a child. At 3 years old, he already watches the elders working. At 5, he already accompanies short expeditions. At 8, he already handles a small bow. At 12, he already hunts birds and rodents. At 15, he already participates in antelope hunts. But the elephant hunt is different. It is reserved only for the best, the bravest, the most precise, the most patient. Those who have already proven their worth dozens of times. Generally, they are men between 25 and 40 years old. At the peak of physical strength, at the peak of accumulated experience, at the peak of the ability to endure pain and exhaustion. Pay attention to this part. The weapons used in this hunt are works of primitive engineering. They seem simple at first glance, but they are not. Every detail was refined over thousands of generations. The Hadzabe bow is made from wood of a specific tree from the region, light but extremely resistant, flexible but with powerful return. The string is made from animal tendons, extracted with care, braided while wet, left to dry under tension, treated with fat to resist humidity. This string can withstand hundreds of shots without breaking. The arrows are long, almost a meter in length. The shaft is made of bamboo or light wood, perfectly straight. Any curve affects the trajectory. The feathers are from large birds, eagles, vultures, positioned at a precise angle to guarantee rotation and stability in flight. But what really matters is the tip, made of metal obtained through trade with neighboring tribes, obsessively sharpened until it cuts with the slightest touch. And mainly what covers that tip? Poison. The Hadzabe are absolute masters in the art of creating arrow poison. This knowledge is sacred, passed only from father to son, from master to apprentice. They use a plant called adenium, known as desert rose, a beautiful flower, delicate, with pink-colored petals, and absolutely deadly. The sap of this plant contains cardiac glycosides, substances that attack the heart muscle directly. The extraction process is lengthy and dangerous. The Hadzabe cut the bark of the plant. They collect the white sap that drips out. They boil this sap in clay containers for hours. The liquid reduces, concentrates, darkens, transforms into a thick and sticky paste. Then they dip the arrow tips in this paste. Let them dry in the sun. Repeat the process once, twice, 3 times, sometimes more. Each layer adds more potency. A well-prepared arrow carries enough poison to bring down any animal of the savannah, even a 6-ton elephant, even an enraged buffalo, even a charging lion. The poison does not kill instantly. This is important to understand. It acts gradually. It enters the bloodstream through the wound. It begins to circulate through the body. It reaches the heart. It interferes with the heart rhythm, slows the beats, weakens the contractions. Little by little, the animal loses strength, loses coordination, loses the ability to flee. An elephant hit by a poisoned arrow can continue walking for hours, sometimes an entire day. It depends on where it was hit. It depends on how deep the arrow penetrated. It depends on how much poison entered the circulation. But eventually the poison wins. It always wins. It is a matter of time and patience is something the Hadzabe have plenty of. The hunt begins before dawn, when the sky is still dark, when the stars still shine over the savannah. The group departs in absolute silence. Generally, it is 3 or 4 men, never more than 5. Fewer people means less noise, less smell, less chance of detection, more agility to flee if necessary. They walk barefoot, feet calloused by decades of savanna make no noise on the dry earth. Every step is calculated. Every branch on the ground is carefully avoided. Every dry leaf is circled around. Communication happens only through gestures. A hand movement means stop. A gesture means come. A head tilt indicates direction. Words are absolutely forbidden. A whisper can end hours of tracking, or worse, it can provoke a charge. And a charging elephant is one of the most terrifying sights that exists in nature. 6 tons of muscle and fury running at 40 kilometers per hour in your direction, ears spread wide, trunk raised, tusks pointing forward. No possibility of escape, no possibility of fighting, only certain death. Now comes the part that few people know. The Hadzabe do not attack just any elephant. They observe the group from afar, sometimes for hours. They study each individual. They look for a specific animal, generally an older male, one that has already separated from the main group, that walks alone on the outskirts, or an animal that already shows signs of weakness, a leg limping slightly, movements slower than the others, heavier breathing. This selection is not cruelty. It is pure survival strategy. An elephant at the peak of its strength is practically impossible to bring down, even with poison, even with multiple arrows. The energy and vitality can metabolize the poison before it takes full effect. The animal can cover enormous distances before falling. It might even recover. But an already weakened animal is different. The poison acts faster, the pursuit lasts less. The risk decreases a little, just a little. Because we are still talking about facing an elephant with a bow and arrow, the risk never truly disappears. The approach is the most tense phase of the entire hunt. It can take the whole day. The hunters crawl through the low vegetation. They use bushes as cover. They advance centimeter by centimeter. They freeze when the elephant raises its head. They advance when it goes back to feeding. The wind is constantly monitored. The Hadzabe wet their finger and raise it to feel the direction. If the wind changes, if it starts blowing from their backs toward the elephant, they stop immediately. They wait. They recalculate. Sometimes they need to make a detour of kilometers just to reposition, all to stay downwind, so that the human smell does not reach the sensitive nostrils of the giant. An elephant can smell a human from more than a kilometer away. The ideal distance for the shot is 20 to 30 meters. It seems close, and it is brutally close. At that distance, you can see the elephant's eyelashes. You can hear its breathing. You can smell the earth it kicks up while walking. At that distance, if the elephant detects the hunter, there is no time to run. There is no tree tall enough to climb. There is no hole to hide in. There is no possible escape. It is kill or die. Literally. The moment of the shot demands absolute precision, total control of body and mind. The target is a specific region of the elephant's body, just behind the front leg, at the junction between the limb and the trunk. There the skin is slightly thinner. There the veins are more superficial. There the poison enters directly into the bloodstream and begins to act faster. The main archer kneels, or stands if the vegetation allows. He pulls the bowstring to the maximum limit. The tension is brutal. The arm muscles tremble with the effort. It requires years of daily training to handle a bow like this with precision. It requires strength that ordinary people cannot even imagine. And it requires nerves of steel, because in that moment, less than 30 meters from a 6-ton giant, the heart races. Adrenaline explodes. The hands want to tremble. Primitive instinct screams to drop everything and run. But the Hadzabe hunter controls all of that. He dominates his own body, silences his own mind, takes one last deep breath, aims with supernatural calm, and releases the arrow. The sound of the shot is a dry snap. The arrow cuts through the air. The impact is almost silent, a muffled sound when the tip penetrates the thick skin. The elephant moves, surprised, confused. It does not understand what happened. It looks around, raises its trunk trying to smell the danger. It does not yet feel real pain. The wound is too small compared to its size, but it senses that something is wrong, very wrong. And it is in that moment that the situation can change completely. If the elephant locates the hunters by sound or movement, it attacks. Without hesitation, without warning, a mass of 6 tons coming in your direction. If this happens, the hunters need to run. Scatter in different directions. Pray that the vegetation offers some protection. Pray that the elephant chooses to pursue someone else. Pray to survive. If the elephant does not locate the hunters, it flees. It takes off in the opposite direction. It crosses the savannah at high speed. It puts kilometers of distance between itself and the danger it cannot identify. And that is where the longest and most exhausting phase of the hunt begins, the tracking. An elephant hit by a poisoned arrow does not fall immediately. It continues walking, sometimes running. The poison needs time to act, and in that time, the animal can cover enormous distances, 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, sometimes more. The Hadzabe follow, patiently, tirelessly, relentlessly. They observe the enormous footprints in the earth. Each mark tells part of the situation. Deep prints mean running. Irregular prints mean imbalance. Dragging prints mean weakness. They look for drops of blood on leaves, on branches, on the ground. They note broken branches at elephant height. They follow the trail of destruction that an animal of that size inevitably leaves, hour after hour, under the 40-degree sun, without shade, without real rest, without complaint. This pursuit can last an entire day, sometimes 2 days, sometimes more. The hunters do not return to camp. They do not stop to really rest, only brief pauses to drink water from gourds they carry, to eat some roots they find along the way. Because if they lose the trail, they lose the elephant, and all the effort will have been in vain. All the risk will have been wasted. The group will go hungrier. The poison acts gradually but inexorably. First, the elephant slows down. The pace that was fast becomes slower. The strides that were long become shorter. The pauses that did not exist begin to appear. They become more frequent, longer. Then it begins to sway, slightly at first, then more pronounced. The trunk that was constantly moving now hangs. The ears that were flapping stop moving. The eyes that were alert begin to glaze over. The elephant seeks water. Instinct says it needs to drink. That water might help. But there is not enough water in the world to neutralize the poison now running through its veins. Finally, it stops. It stands still in the middle of the savannah, swaying slightly like a tree in the wind. Its legs tremble with the effort of supporting the immense weight. Breathing becomes heavy, noisy, labored, and then it falls. The impact of a 6-ton elephant hitting the ground is something you feel before you hear it. The earth shakes. A deep, low sound resonates across the savannah. Birds flee from nearby trees, smaller animals scatter in all directions, and then silence, a heavy silence, almost respectful. The Hadzabe approach with extreme caution. Even fallen, an elephant can still be dangerous. The last breath of life can bring a violent reaction. A sudden movement of the trunk can break bones. A blow from a tusk can pierce a human body. They wait. They observe. They look for signs of breathing, movement in the eyes, tension in the muscles. Only when they have absolute certainty that the animal is dead do they approach for real. And then a transformation happens. The hunters, who were in absolute silence for hours or days, explode in celebration. Cries of joy tear through the air of the savannah. Ancestral songs resonate across the landscape. Improvised dances mark the earth around the fallen giant. The joy is genuine, visceral, overflowing, because they know what that elephant represents. Food for weeks, fat for months, guaranteed survival for the entire group. No child will cry from hunger. No elder will weaken from malnutrition. No mother will sleep with an empty stomach. At least not for a good while. A messenger is sent back to camp, running, as fast as his legs will allow. The news needs to arrive soon, because the work now is against time. The meat needs to be processed before it spoils, before the 40-degree heat accelerates decomposition, before predators arrive attracted by the smell. Hyenas, vultures, lions, they all want their share. They all represent danger. The entire camp mobilizes when the news arrives. Men, women, children, elders, everyone who can walk prepares. They take knives of stone and metal. They take containers to carry meat. They take gourds to store fat. Everyone walks to where the elephant fell. Sometimes it is kilometers away. It does not matter. Everyone goes because everyone will participate. Everyone will work. Everyone will eat. And it is here that you understand something fundamental about the Hadzabe. They have no hierarchy, they have no chiefs, they have no kings or permanent leaders, they have no private property in the sense that we know it. When an elephant is killed, the meat belongs equally to everyone. The hunter who shot the fatal arrow does not receive a larger share. The men who tracked for 2 days do not receive more than the others. The elders who stayed at camp receive exactly the same. The children who did not even participate receive their full share. That is the rule. It always was. For 50,000 years it has worked this way, not because someone commanded it, but because it is what works. Processing an elephant is a monumental task that can take days. We are talking about 6 tons of animal, thousands of kilos of meat, hundreds of kilos of fat, enormous heavy bones, skin thick like armor leather, massive organs that need to be removed first. Everything is used, absolutely everything. Every gram of nutrient is valued. The meat is cut into long, thin strips. Part is consumed immediately. Roasted on the fire right there, next to the carcass. After days of extreme physical effort, of constant tension, of little sleep and less food, the hunters finally eat. And they eat a lot. It is permitted, it is expected, it is deserved. Another larger part of the meat is prepared for preservation. The strips are hung on improvised structures over a low fire. The smoke envelops the meat, dries it, preserves it, adds flavor, kills bacteria. This smoked meat can last weeks without spoiling. Even in the heat of the savannah, it is the reserve that will feed the group in the following days. That will guarantee that no one goes hungry even when the next hunt is not successful. The fat of the elephant is especially valuable, more valuable even than the meat in some aspects. It is melted slowly over the fire. It is purified, it is strained, it is stored in containers made from the stomach and intestine of animals. This fat serves as a concentrated reserve of energy. A small amount provides enough calories for an entire day. It serves for cooking other foods. It serves to protect skin against the brutal sun. It serves to waterproof objects. It serves to make bowstrings last longer. 1,000 uses, no waste. The bones are examined carefully. The largest ones are broken to extract the marrow, one of the most nutritious parts of the animal. The medium-sized ones are saved to become tools, awls, scrapers, points. The smallest ones become ornaments, necklaces, bracelets, amulets. The thick skin is separated. It can become protection against rain. It can become a base for sleeping. It can become material for trade with other tribes. The tendons are extracted carefully. They are dried. They are braided. They become the strings that will equip the next bows. The ivory tusks have special value. Not to sell on the black market, the Hadzabe do not participate in the illegal ivory trade, but as material for traditional tools and as objects of spiritual meaning. The ivory of a hunted elephant connects the present with the ancestors who hunted before. For weeks after a successful hunt, the atmosphere in the Hadzabe camp changes completely. The constant tension of hunger disappears. The daily worry about the next meal goes away. The children play with more energy. They run, they laugh, they shout. The adults work with more lightness. They laugh more. They sing while performing their tasks. The elders tell more stories around the fire. The nights are longer, happier, more filled with music and dance and conversation. It is the period of abundance, of celebration, of reconnection with the joy of being alive. Because hunger is not just physical for the Hadzabe. It is a shadow that hangs over everything, a constant threat, a presence that never completely disappears. When it retreats, even temporarily, life flourishes in a way that people who eat every day will never completely understand. But wait, there is a side of this. Reality that almost no one mentions, the human cost. Hunting elephants is not a symbolic ritual. It is not a folkloric tradition. It is a real and present risk to life. Over countless generations, many Hadzabe have died in these hunts, trampled by fleeing elephants, impaled by tusks during charges, crushed against trees, killed by wounds that became infected afterward. Every man who participates in one of these hunts knows he might not return, knows that that dawn might be his last. Their wives know it, their children know it, their parents know it. When the group departs before dawn, no one says goodbye lightly. The embrace is tighter than normal, the gaze is longer, the unspoken words weigh in the air, because it might be the last embrace, the last gaze, the last chance to say something important. This awareness of imminent death gives the Hadzabe a different relationship with life, a relationship that we, protected by walls and technology and supermarkets, may never truly understand. They do not accumulate goods. They do not plan decades ahead. They do not worry about retirement or investments. They live intensely in the present moment. They celebrate every meal as if it were special, because it is. They are grateful for every sunrise, because it might be the last. They celebrate every safe return from a hunt, because not everyone returns. For them, being alive today, now, in this moment, is already sufficient reason for profound gratitude. The modern world looks at the Hadzabe with a mixture of fascination and incomprehension. How can they live like this in the 21st century? How can they reject the agriculture that would feed more people with less effort? How can they reject the technology that would make everything easier? How can they ignore the conveniences that the rest of the world considers essential? But maybe the question is backwards. Maybe we should ask what they know that we have forgotten. The Hadzabe have no word for war in their language. They have no territorial conflicts with other Hadzabe. They have no economic inequality because they have no economy. They have no obesity because they eat only what they need. They do not have depression as an epidemic because they live in real community. They do not have loneliness because they are never alone. They live in small groups where everyone knows each other by name, where everyone depends on each other, where the survival of each individual is linked to the survival of all, where the success of one is literally the success of all. When a Hadzabe eats elephant meat, they know exactly where that food came from. They know the name of who hunted it. They know how much effort it cost. They know how many kilometers were traveled. They know the risks that were faced. They know that that piece of meat represents the victory of the group over the brute forces of nature. Every bite carries meaning. Every meal is a silent celebration of life. We lost that somewhere along the way. In our food packaged in plastic and labeled with barcodes, we forgot that surviving was once a daily conquest, that eating was once an act of courage, that every meal was once a victory against death. The Hadzabe remind us of that, not with words, not with lessons, but simply by existing, simply by continuing, simply by refusing to disappear. The sun sets once more over Lake Ayasi. The same colors as always paint the sky. Intense orange, deep red, brilliant gold. Somewhere in this ancient landscape, a group of Hadzabe gathers around the fire. Maybe they are planning the next great hunt. Maybe they are celebrating one that just happened. Maybe they are simply enjoying another night of being alive and together. The children listen to the same songs that their ancestors listened to 50,000 years ago. The young people learn the same techniques they will use for the rest of their lives. The adults share the same concerns that humans have always had. The oldest ones transmit the same wisdom they received when they were young. The cycle continues, uninterrupted, immutable in its essence. As long as this happens, as long as there are Hadzabe hunting elephants in the African savanna, an essential and ancient part of humanity will continue to live. Not preserved in museums, not recorded only in books, not frozen in documentaries, but breathing, walking, hunting, surviving. Tomorrow the sun rises again over Lake Ayasi. The heat returns to punish the dry land. The savanna awakens with the same sounds as always, and somewhere a group of men will depart before dawn, barefoot, in silence, with bows in their hands and courage in their hearts, exactly as it always was, exactly as. Perhaps it always should be.